जय श्री राधे। सभी वैष्णवों को जय श्री कृष्ण। Day 101, the story of Paramanandas ji, starting at part 7 until the conclusion of the Varta number 82. Jai Shri Radhe Shivalabhadish Ki Jai. On the occasion of the Lord's Appearance Day, Sri Gosaiji first bathed Sri Navanight in the 5 nectars and then adorned him. He then went up to Sri Govardhanathji's temple and did the same. After the midday offering, he went back to Gokul. When he had completed the ceremonies for Sri Navanight midnight appearance time, he swung him in his cradle and thereafter celebrated Nanda Mahotsava, the festival to celebrate the Lord's birth in Nanda's home, with Srinathji. When the morning came, Sri Gosaiji took Paramanandas with him to Gokul. He bathed Sri Navanight after anointing him with oils, and at that moment Paramanandas sang these celebratory verses. Rag Dhanashri. Oh, my good friends, let's all get together and sing of this auspicious day. Today is the appearance day of our beloved lad, and colourful songs of congratulation are being sung. The chamber has been smeared with purifying cow dung and the courtyard studded with jewels. The Brahmin priests are chanting the Vedas whilst the dark and beautiful boy is being adorned with dark and light sandal pastes. Nanda Baba and his queen Yashoda are bursting with joy. Paramanandas's Lord receives bounteous gifts. Part 7 continued. Thereafter, Sri Gosaiji dressed and adorned Sri Navanight and then anointed his forehead. Paramanandas composed this poem to describe the scene. Rag Saranga. Today is a very special festival day, for a lad, beloved to all of us, has been born to Nanda and Yashoda. 5 types of instruments are being played, and from every house people come with plates of gifts and kumkum with rice to anoint his forehead. The beautiful ladies of Vraja are carrying pots of sacred water on their heads, whilst the cowhead lads are hanging pots of curds and butter from the ceiling. The gopis bless him and wish him a long life. Paramanandas now declares that the Lord of the universe has been born in the guise of a cowherd. Rag Saranga. The cowherds are cheering in every house. They play instruments of every description, cymbals, drums of all types, small and large, and flutes. They loot and snatch sweets from each other and eat them. They are so excited, and they run circles round the Vraja ladies. The whole village and all its lanes are decorated with flags, banners, and door decorations. The poet Paramanandas now sings, "Long live Krishna, the sworn enemy of Kamsa." Part 7 continued. He sang many compositions like these. In the middle of the night, Sri Gosaiji celebrated the birth of Sri Navanight and then brought him to his cradle. Everyone who served in the temple dressed up as Nanda Baba and Mother Yashoda, the gopis and the gopas. Paramanandas sang this poem. Rag Dhanashri. Yashoda is blossoming in joy. Your son is the crest jewel of your clan and is the Lord himself. The elder gopis arrive from every village to shower him with blessings and gifts, and they are singing auspicious songs of congratulation. When the 10 are present, everyone is filled with contentment. The poet Paramanandas enjoys singing the praises of Nanda Baba's lineage. Bhav Prakash. The meaning of "when the 10 are present, everyone is filled with contentment" is that Sri Acharyaji, Sri Gosaiji and his 7 sons, along with Sri Govardhanathji, have appeared and bring joy to all divine souls in the path of grace. Part 7 continued. Then Nandaraji, the gopis, the gopas, and all the assembled Vaishnavas began to play, making a thick mud of yogurt all over the floor. Paramanandas became overwhelmed with bliss. He began to dance and sing at the same time. He forgot how to sing the melody properly. It was the night time, but he sang in a raga appropriate for the daytime. Rag Sarang. Today Nandaraji is very joyous. The gopis are singing and playing noisily. They sing auspicious songs. They are dressed in red and yellow blouses with shiny new saris. They have anointed themselves with sandalwood paste and decorated their partings. The cowherds arrive carrying vessels full of butter, milk, and yogurt. They are playing flutes and drums, and they are singing very pleasingly. The courtyard floor is covered in a thick layer of turmeric, dhruva grass, milk, and red vermilion powder. They are all laughing with each other and embrace one another in their joy. The great sages are singing the Vedas and 5 types of drum beat a rhythm. The poet Paramanandas says, "Bliss has flooded Gokul, and my heart is delighted." Part 7 continued. When he had finished singing this one, Paramanandas fainted and fell on the floor. Sri Gosaiji picked him up with his own lotus hands. He then took water in the palms of his hands, recited some Vedic mantras over it, and splashed it on Paramanandas. The loving mood that had overwhelmed him calmed down and settled in his heart. He experienced each and every pastime and sang of all of them. Sri Gosaiji graced Paramanandas in this way. After that, Paramanandas sang a song for Navaneet Priyaji in his cradle. Rag Vilaval. Mother Yashoda gently swings her lad in his cradle. She waves her hands around her child's head to protect him, who is the bringer of great joy to the villagers and the cows. His lotus hands and feet are tinged with red. Brahma and all the other gods search for him within their hearts. Yashoda praises her own good fortune as she gazes again and again at her son's lotus face. He is the Lord of all the universe and rides on the eagle Garuda, says Paramanandas, this dear son of Nanda is my Lord. Bhav Prakash. Here, Paramanandas has written that Sri Krishna is undoubtedly the Lord of the universe who rides on Garuda, but is the son of Nanda, whom he regards as his own beloved Lord. Part 7 continued. Hearing this poem, Sri Gosaiji was very happy with Paramanandas. Following that padi, he sang this one in the Rag Kanharo, which is for the evening, although it was still morning time. In the state of overwhelming love, the rules of Raga do not apply, rather the rules of the Leela, the Lord's own wish. Rag Kanharo. Oh, Queen Yashoda, may good fortune prevail in your home. Listen, Yashodaji. May not even one hair on his head break as you bathe him. On seeing his lotus face, some chant the auspicious Vedic prayers, some others sing and laugh. Bliss and love swell up in their hearts. The gopis come there to give their blessings. All are immersed in bliss. The poet Paramanandas now sings of the bliss that fills Nanda Baba's home by the birth of this boy who is famous throughout the whole world. Part 7 continued. Paramanandas sang this song of blessings. Sri Gosaiji, keeping his son Sri Giridharji by his side, played with the Lord until a thick mud of yogurt, etc. covered the floor. He then took Paramanandas with him to have the holy sight of Sri Govardhanaji. Seeing the mud of yogurt there too, Paramanandas became totally immersed in the bliss of the Lord's pastimes. Sri Gosaiji made the midday offering to Sri Govardhanaji and then stepped outside. When he witnessed the extraordinary state that Paramanandas was in, he said, Kumbhandas is perfectly absorbed in the Lord Leelas as a youth, and Paramanandas in the same with Sri Krishna's childhood play. Paramanandas then bowed to Sri Gosaiji and descended from the mountain. He bowed to Sri Govardhanaji's flag and then went to Surabhi Kund, where he sat in his hut and stopped talking. Paramanandas thought that he would drop his body whilst he was immersed in the Leela of the Lord's appearance day, and so he went to the lake and lay down. In the temple, Sri Gosaiji was just putting Sri Navaneet to rest for the afternoon after the midday services. He then asked his disciple where Paramanandas was, since he had not come to the temples at that time. One Vaishnava reported to him that Paramanandas had seemed to be a little restless and agitated and would not speak to anybody, and that he had gone to Surabhi Kund to lie down. Sri Gosaiji took that Vaishnava with him and went to Surabhi Kund. He went up to Paramanandas, put his hand on his head and said, "O Paramanandas, I understand your heart. Soon you will not be seen again." Paramanandas got up and prostrated to Sri Gosaiji. He sang in this poem, Rag Saranga. Love the son of Nanda, it is he alone who stands by us in good times and in bad. It is only through his grace that we live. To those who remember and serve him, he is most generous, a clever wish-giving gem. He knows the inner intentions of her heart and keeps us in the shade of his lotus feet. The Ved and the Puran describe how he always looks out for his devotees. Paramanandas now reminds you how Sudama attained the wealth of Indra. Part 7 continued. This is the poem that Paramanandas sang to Sri Gosaiji. Bhav Prakash. In this poem, Paramanandas is asking Sri Gosaiji to bless him with one-pointed devotion, for he will place his love in him only. Sri Gosaiji is most compassionate, protects his people with his lotus hand. He asks Sri Gosaiji to bless him with his sight and his hand upon his head. This will be the fulfillment of his innermost heart's wish. He states that the Vedas and the Puranas have described how the Lord is kind to his devotees. When no one could fill Indra's position, the Lord himself took it and then showered the Brahmin Sudama with more than Indra's wealth. Paramanandas says that Sri Gosaiji granted him the gift of the Lord. His qualities are indescribable. Part 7 continued. Sri Gosaiji was very pleased to hear this poem. A Vaishnava who was there then requested the poet to advise him on how to please Sri Krishna and invoke his grace. Paramanandas told him to carefully listen to his next poem, in which he would tell him of a very easy way. If you listen attentively, you will attain the perfect reward. He then lovingly sang these lines to him, Rag Bhairav. As you awake, sing the glories of Sri Lakshman's son, Shri Vallabh, who appeared in order to grant devotion. Shri Vitalesh appears as Sri Gosaiji in a most pleasing form, whose son Shri Giridhar is Sri Krishna and as bright as the rising sun. Shri Govindji is a mass of bliss whose qualities cannot be described. Shri Balakrishna is a fine form to display Shri Krishna's childhood pastimes. Shri Gokunaji appears to spread knowledge of the inner ways of the path of grace, and Sri Raghunathji is so lovely that he shames even Cupid, the disturber of the mind. Sri Yadunathji is the Lord's full manifestation, and Sri Ganesham fulfills all spiritual desires and loves to ponder the scriptures. The Vedas sing the glories of Panduranga Sri Vitaleshji. Paramanandas sings of how the gods in their aerial chariots tire themselves out watching these divine pastimes. Part 7 continued. Paramanandas sang this poem, by which Sri Gosaiji and all the Vaishnavas there became immensely pleased. Sri Gosaiji asked Paramanandas where his heart was at that time. He replied by singing this composition in Rag Sarang. Sri Radha is seated as she decorates her forehead. As she does so, the dear-eyed lady, beautiful as a flower, is pondering upon the form of Nanda's son. Mirror in hand, she tends to her adornment, whilst time seems to pass very slowly. She is thinking of just how much she loves Krishna and how they will play together when they meet. Time passes and night falls over Vraj. Now she meets Sri Krishna, the upholder of the Sri Giridhaji mountain. There is no limit to this Vraja lady's joy, recounts Paramanandas. Part 7 continued. Paramanandas left his body as he contemplated these pastimes of the divine couple in his heart. He entered Sri Govardhanathji's Leelas. Then Sri Gosaiji came to Jetipura and after bathing went to Sri Govardhanathji's temple and woke him from his afternoon rest. When all the evening services had been completed, Sri Gosaiji came down and sat in his bertak. The Vaishnavas there all got together and performed Paramanandasji's last rites. When these had been completed, the Vaishnavas came and sat before Sri Gosaiji. They were praising Paramanandas. Sri Gosaiji said, "In this path of grace there are two oceans, Surdas and Paramanandas Ji. Their hearts are fathomlessly filled with the nectarian jewels of all the Lord's Leelas." In this way, Sri Gosaiji praised Paramanandas. Paramanandas was a recipient of the immense grace of Sri Acharyaji and a fully accomplished Vaishnava. Sri Govardhanathji was always happy with him. His story is difficult to describe in words. Thus concludes Varta 82, the story of Paramanandas, the Brahmin from Kanauj, although there is truly no end to this tale. So there we conclude the Varta 82 of Paramanandas ji. आज के आनंद की जय, सब वैष्णवों को जय श्री कृष्ण, श्री वल्लभाधीश की जय, जय जय श्री राधे।